make sure you know that every single week we do a market update for the members of the association. And this is so important because it will give you that perspective. It will tell you where we are and it will tell you where we are going. And I will tell you that in real estate here in Texas, we have had the best year that we have ever had on record. And 2020 was already a really tough year to beat in terms of sales. And 2019 was a really tough year to beat in terms of overall sales. But the full year forecast for us here in Texas is that sales are probably going to be up somewhere between 10 to 15%, the number of units sold. Typically in Texas, that number is usually around 5 to 6% if you look at it over the past 40 years or so. So being up 10 to 15% is a big jump for us. And then even more than that is the sales price. So the sales price is expected to be up somewhere around 25% year over year. So all of you guys who are holding property in Texas, man, just use that, what I call that Bluebell ice cream investing philosophy, because it will allow you to fill up your purses, right? And it'll allow you to create an incredible life as you grow that wealth over time. And I want to ask you guys, why do you think we are in a situation right now where these prices are going up 25%? These are unheard of numbers. Normally our prices are going up again in that same range, about 4 to 7% year after year after year. What is driving these prices to go up 25% versus off of the high that it was already in 2020? Demand. What else? Inventory. It's all inventory. So why is our inventory so low right now? Or what's driving our inventory so low right now? California? The last crash? What else? Hedge funds? I'm sorry, Damien. What else? What else? How about I share with you about 13 different things that are causing this situation to happen right now? And it's not just one thing, it is the culmination of each one of these things over time that has continued to develop, right? So prices go up and it's all about the basics of economics. It's all about supply and demand. When you have high demand and when you have low supply, prices are just going to go up. And in life, when we talk about prices going up, we talk about that as being inflation. And we don't like that. But in real estate, when we talk about prices going up, we call that appreciation. And we love that, right? Because that's what makes us rich. So some of the different things that are coming in to upset or affect our inventory is the uncertainty that's still going on today, right? Probably about half the folks in this room are still wearing masks because we're in a very uncertain environment, and that's not looking to change probably anytime in the next 6 to 12 months. Well, that stream of buyers that are coming in, if you're working from home, yesterday I was on 9 different Zoom meetings, 9 of them. I think I was ready to stab my own eyes out, okay? But it's hard to get off of them, number one. And then if you are listing your house, how can you get off to go and show your house so you're not there when the buyers are coming in? Where are you going to go, right? Starbucks has taken away all of the chairs. We put them all in this room. But where are you going to go? There's no real place for you to go. Low interest rates are not only motivating buyers to buy, but low interest rates are also motivating sellers to refinance. And when sellers are refinancing, what are they doing? They're using their savings to do what with their house? Make it more beautiful, fix it up, make it more their sanctuary, because they realize they're going to be spending a lot more time in it. And that's what we saw happen over the last 2 years. The last market cycle, someone said, change the way that builders develop forever. And some of the corresponding changes in the legislation changed how banks are even allowed to give loans to builders in terms of how many loans they can have on just that raw vacant land, and in terms of adding more properties. So that's one of the reasons why we're not seeing builders develop as much as they did, for example, in 2006, 7, and 8. In fact, just now here in Texas, just now, we are building as many homes as what we built back in 2006, 2007, 2008. It's crazy. But the number of sales is up probably 30+% versus what it was in that same time period. Actually, probably closer to 40%. We also have labor shortage. I read recently that there have been more arrests at the border this year than in any previous time period, right? And what is that labor coming over here to do? That would be all the jobs that none of you all want to do, right? That would be also building a lot of our houses. So some of those labor shortages are compounded by immigration policies, border crossing insecurity that's stopping some of those people from coming. Materials shortage. So, gosh, I mean, you're about to finish your renovation. You're about to put it on your market. You're going to go and get your dishwasher, your range, your refrigerator, your insert item here. And then you find out it's 6 weeks on back order, right? And then you're going all over town trying to find something to replace it. So those are affecting us as well. Prices have gone up for labor, prices have gone up for material, prices have gone up for land. City permitting and building codes make it more expensive as well. And then of course, Elon puts on a cowboy hat and sits with Governor Greg Abbott and says, I'm a Texan now. And what does everybody else want to do? Become a Texan as well, right? They want to get their Stetson as well. So we're seeing that effect, and so many companies moving to Texas as well, and so many people moving to Texas too. And then how many of you all are keeping your starter homes as a rental property or maybe as an Airbnb property? Yeah, you don't want to let that go because you've seen how much it's gone up in value over the last several years, right? And you want to continue to watch that, watch your balance sheet grow and watch your wealth grow. Institutional buyers, Damien, I told you this meeting is really just all about you here tonight. Institutional buyers are also looking for opportunities. A colleague of mine said that, who's a land developer, said that an Icelandic pension fund contacted him to buy properties in Texas. And I'm like, what? Iceland? No, it's too hot here. We will melt them. We literally, like, that can't even happen. But that is something that's happening. So we're competing with a lot of institutional buyers as well. And we still have houses that are not going to foreclosure due to some of these government policies and some of these extensions that we're seeing from a loan modification or forbearance standpoint. So houses that would normally be adding to our supply, they're just not adding to our supply right now. So whenever you hear someone say, we're from the government and we're here to help, no, like we're in trouble. Big time, right? And then I know it feels like it's forever ago, but the snowstorm, ice storm, man, we never realized how valuable having a plumber in your contact cards was after something like that, right? And then we had a copper shortage after that. And then we had a pipe, how many of you guys lost pool equipment besides me, right? Yes. Yeah, very expensive, and that stuff is not cheap either. So that also removed properties. In fact, I looked at a property about 2 months ago. So now 2 months ago, now we're 8 months past the snowstorm, still had not fixed their pool because they were still waiting on parts from the pool company, right? Yeah, so for you it was July, right? So I hope you're enjoying that very green, slimy pool, right? So that's some of the reasons that's causing the issues that we're in right now. Also want to go ahead and talk a little bit about each of them, the overall market here in Texas, and then each of the individual markets. And I will tell you, I am a super data left brain nerd like crazy. So literally I was checking and refreshing all of the sites for all of the MLSs, for the major MLSs throughout Texas. And the October data is not out yet. So right now it's November the 9th, I think. Pardon me. So the October data is not out yet. So we're still looking at September data, but by the time we get together, probably next Tuesday. So again, you can watch us online if you're not where we're at, but we should have all of that October data. But the October data is not going to look too dissimilar from how the September data looks. I'll just kind of let you know that as we get started or as we go through this. So for the average sales price for all of Texas, and the first part I'm going to compare is the top half of the chart, which is September 2021 versus September of 2020. So the average price last month was up 20% year over year. The closed sales were down, but they were only down 0.7% versus where they were last year. And I'm going to explain why that is. So I don't want anyone walking out of the meeting and saying, is it over? Did I miss it? Is it done? Is the market about to crash? No, because it's not. And I'll explain why we have a little bit of a reduction there. Let's see. Going on the bottom half of the graph, year-to-date sales in Texas up 9% versus where they were last year. And that average price is up 20% versus where it was last year. And as we go through the meeting, I'm going to break down some of the other major markets in Texas. I'll go through some of the other ones very quickly. I'll spend more time specifically talking about the Dallas market. But the Houston market is the market that performed the best last year. And I know there's really no rivalry between Houston and Dallas. Oops. Sorry, honey. I just spilt a little water on your computer. So you still love me. Okay, thank goodness. I would wipe it off with my mask, but I want to keep my mask clean, so no. So the sales price in Houston was up 13%. Closed sales were up 1.5% versus last year. And the year-to-date sales in Houston are up 15.3%, and the average price is up 18%. And the San Antonio market, which did the second best in terms of total sales, they were flat in year-over-year sales at $36.51. Average sales price was up 15%. The year-to-date numbers, the year-to-date sales are up 8% versus last year, and the year-to-date average price is up 16% year-over-year. Austin, I've seen some of the early numbers for October, and that average price is pushing over $600,000. So now everyone feels very lucky to be living in Dallas, right? So I did a little research to try and figure out where the word Austin, it's kind of an unusual word, trying to figure out where the word Austin came from. And I found out that the root word for Austin is actually San Francisco. Yeah, it's literally that expensive. So in Austin, average price last month up 25% year over year. Sales were down. They were down 5% year over year. Year to date, sales in Austin still up 6.4%. And the year to date average price in Austin up 32% year over year. These are huge numbers. These are unheard of numbers. Again, remember, these numbers usually look like 5 to 6% at the most. And the Dallas market, so I'll spend more time talking about each one of these different stats as we go through here as well. So the average price in Dallas last month, was $415,000, up 18% versus what it was last year. The median price, the price at which half of the properties sold below this number and half of the properties sold above this number. Yes, there will be a quiz before you leave tonight on average versus median price tonight. So I want to make sure we lock the door so everyone can be prepared. So the median price was up 19% at $345,000. Days on market, 22 days. Normally this number looks closer to 90 days on market before on average, right? Last year it was still very fast as well, even at 42 days. Again, this number typically looks closer to 90 to 100 days plus. Now the overall sales were down. They were down 3% versus where we were the same time last year, but still at almost 11,000 sales, it was a stellar month for us. 1.5 months of inventory versus 3.1 months of inventory the same time last year. Now, I know a lot of you guys are familiar with the concept of days on market, right? But maybe not all of you are familiar with the concept of months of inventory. So let me explain that. Months of inventory basically says if we stopped listing homes today, how long before we would be completely out of homes for sale? So what this means is if we stop listing houses in the Dallas and Fort Worth market today, in 1.5 months, we wouldn't have any more houses for sale based on the buyer demand that we've had over the last 12 months. And I want to give you guys some perspective. So normally this number is about 6 months. So normally, again, if we stop listing houses today, we would have 6 months of inventory before we ran out of houses for sale. So this is the reason why the inventory situation that we're seeing these price jumps at 18% year over year for September, and why we're seeing the average year to date, up 22% versus where we were the same time through this same time last year. Pending sales are our closest leading indicator to what closed sales will be next month. Pending sales were down as we finished out September, down 5%. But still, look at that number, 10,939. For ending September, that is an incredible number for us. So I want to make sure that you don't take that perspective of those big numbers that we shot up at the end of 2020 and discount anything that we're seeing right now in 2021. Total active listings, gosh, normally we're looking at 40 to 50,000 listings in the Dallas and Fort Worth market. Right now we were at 10,348. I want to point out a phenomena that is previously unheard of except for this last year, and that is this. We have fewer active listings on the market than we had sales last month. Normally, again, we're looking at 3 to 5 times the number of active listings on the market versus what we sold last month. Basically, that this is saying that every house that we put on the market the month before, we sold, right? We sold. So something to be aware of as well. Our year-to-date sales in Dallas are flat in Dallas and Fort Worth. So this is the 54 county North Texas area, So the year-to-date sales are flat versus last year, but last year was an incredible killer year. The year-to-date average price was up 22% versus last year. So before any of you guys walk out of the room and say, it's over, right? Real estate market's done. We're done. Time to move on. I do want to really kind of dig into the details and explain why we are seeing in this past month some of the numbers being a little bit down, and specifically in the Austin and Dallas market. So throughout Texas, single-family home sales ended a multi-month positive run with a 9.4% drop for the July of 2020 numbers. Okay, why was that? And then also notate that those numbers rebounded in in August of 2021, where the sales were up 1% versus August of 2020. This number was down again barely in September at 0.7% versus August of 2020. This decline is the result of us being locked up in our houses for March, for April, and then you got a bonus of May and a little bonus of June. And we didn't really start to get out of our houses until probably that June, July timeframe. And then for whatever reason, when everyone started to get out of their houses, they also decided that they wanted to buy a house, right? So that's why we had that huge surge of closings in that July, August, and September timeframe as those lockdowns were coming up. So also want to make sure your perspective is right in terms of knowing that we are still up 9% year over year. And even if we don't beat last year's sales volume numbers, it's still a great, great year for Dallas and for all of Texas. And guys, I want to do a very quick special announcement, and that is to let you know that we have some additional training for you all. So over the years, as we've been part of the Real Estate Investor Association, and what kind of occurred to us is we had a little bit of an epiphany over the last year, or over the last 22 months, is that before, when we were training people as part of the Real Estate Investor Association, we would just say, hey, just come back next month and we'll give you another 3 hours worth of knowledge. And what that meant for you was after about a year to 3 years, you'd know just about everything that you need to know about real estate investing. Well, that's not super efficient, right? So, and most of you guys don't want to start investing in a year or 3. So what we've done is we've compressed all of the real estate investor knowledge into a 3-day class that we give to the members of the association. So I want to explain to you what that 3-day class looks like and share with you a little bit more about what we'll go over. So we'll talk about the different strategies that you need to use to be successful, not just in today's market, right? But for you guys, I want you all to be unemployable like me. I literally have not updated my resume since 2003. My resume is in a version of DOS, okay? Like that's how old it is. And I don't want to ever have to update my resume because I love what I do in real estate investing. But that doesn't mean that I can stop learning or only use one strategy. I've got to use multiple strategies. And we made it a goal, and it was almost kind of a fun game for us to between my husband and I that we were never going to let somebody get off the phone with us without figuring out how to come to a deal. And to be able to do that, you have to have multiple strategies. Tonight, as Phil does his part of the presentation, he's going to be sharing what those different strategies look like. And he's also going to be sharing the different marketing campaigns that it takes to be successful and find off-market deals. So let me just tell you and be very clear about this. Your deal is not on the MLS, okay? On average right now, houses in Texas are selling at over 100% of their list price. So unless you want to be like Zillow, who is no longer buying houses, right? Because they realize that you can't buy them at full price and then sell them at full price and make any money, right? You're going to have to find other ways to be able to find properties. You're going to have to find properties that are off market. So we're going to share with you how to do that. We'll also give you probably one of my favorites is what we call the exactly what to say for the real estate investor. So we're going to go through the different closes that we use. So if you guys don't have any experience in sales, if you guys don't have any experience in negotiation, we're going to break down the exact scripts that we use in our own business. We call it the exactly what to say for the real estate investor to make sure you know what to say, how to say it, to be able to put a property under contract, overcome objections, and ultimately get to the closing line and the finish line. We'll also introduce you to folks like Bill, who is here tonight, to get access to funding, and also introduce you to many of the other long-term members who are part of the association who love to partner with other members of the association as well. And if you guys would have some interest in that, we have a QR code up here, so you're welcome to scan that QR code. And then I'll tell you that because of what's been going on over the last almost 2 years, we decided last March of 2020 that we were going to start doing our training for free. We are still doing our training for free. Hold your applause, really. And we're committed to doing it for free through the rest of this year. So we're hopeful that 2022 gets back to 100% normal. And then as we've started to have our live meetings again in June, we're paying for these big ballrooms. We will start charging for these classes again as we get into 2022. So I want to make sure you guys take advantage of the opportunity when the opportunity is here, and the opportunity is definitely now. We've got several different classes coming up for you guys to take advantage of, including one in Dallas and Fort Worth, or Dallas, November 19th, 20th, and 21st. And if you cannot make that meeting, we're doing one in Houston on December 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And then the last one of the year is going to be in Austin on December 17th, 18th, and 19th. Now, just like we're doing a simulcast right now, so we'll have folks who will come here and be part of our live meeting, and then we'll also simulcast it on Zoom. So if you guys can't get out of work on Friday and you want to work while listening to the workshop, you guys are more than welcome to do it like that. If you want to come online on Friday, come live on Saturday and Sunday, we can accommodate you using that as well. So to get signed up, you guys can just take a picture of the screen. So we've got the QR code here. And if you have not, if you're not yet familiar with QR codes or using that, we'll walk through and help you guys figure that out as well. Basically, if you're new to it, you can also just open Safari, your internet browser on your phone, and just go to texasstarterkit.com to be able to get signed up for that. So would love to be able to share with you more tribal knowledge, introduce you to more people that can help grow you up as a real estate investor as we go through. And as we're starting the next part of our presentation, just want to go ahead and do a quick